Welcome back to Better You, Better World, where we know that God took his time to create us. So if this is your first time, welcome to my channel. And if you're coming back, welcome back and thank you for continuing on this journey with me. So today we're going to be continuing with mindset check. So this is the part 2. I wanted to go a little bit more deeper into why we think the way we think. So it's like nature versus nurture. When we're born as a baby, we come into this world as a blank slate. And then our environment, which is nurture, raise us, our parents, school, friends, wherever in the environment kind of shape the way we think. And one of the things or a situation that influence the way we think is trauma. So I went to a church conference last week and we had a wonderful trauma therapist. Her name is Lisa Alberry, and she went over the Dan Siegel hand model of the brain. So, and it just talked about how trauma affects the way we think and how we come into our worldview as a child. So going back, what is trauma? We're going to define trauma. So according to mind.org, trauma is a difficult to cope with experience that causes intense physical, psychological stress reaction. So if you go through a stressful situation, for example, it can be a car accident, which is considered as an acute trauma, something that's very short, instant just happened, or you can have chronic trauma, which is ongoing, long-term abuse, violent situation, domestic abuse for a long period of time, stuff like that, which is trauma, a chronic trauma. And then we have complex trauma, which happens before the age of 5. It's complex because at that stage we're developing, our mind is developing and getting to know ourselves as a little child. So it's complex. And then we have generational trauma that can be passed down from one generation to the next. So just to give you a little example of where we're going. And she talks about the Dan Siegel hand model of trauma. So I'm going to demonstrate that. You have your hand, at the base of your hand is like your brain stem going into your spinal cord. And your thumb is considered your amygdala. That's where you have your survival mode: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. If something happens, that is when you sense danger, you either want to fight, or you run away, or you freeze when you can't handle it and you don't know what to do, or you fawn, which is people pleasing, trying to make the situation better. And the top of your hand is like your prefrontal cortex, which is like your thinking brain, and the tip of your thumb is your hippocampus, where your emotions are stored. So when you're in your thinking brain, your amygdala and your hippocampus is covered. Here you can rationalize, you can make decisions, you can think about stuff. But when you're in danger, your thinking brain is you can't think about nothing. All you want to do is survive, and that's where your emotion, your fight and flight is located. So we want to be in our thinking brain. We don't want our lid, well, this is where the flip the lid comes from. You don't want your lid to be flipped all the time and in survival mode where you're reacting to stuff. So thinking brain, we need to keep our lid flipped. And she also discussed the hippocampus, where our emotions are stored. If you go through trauma, it reduces the size of your hippocampus. So if, for example, if your hippocampus is this long, and if you go through like chronic long trauma, it shortened your emotion function. So you can't even think straight. You fire up every second because there's no time to even process the information. So if we go through trauma, now it has affected our brain, and trauma is perceived. So for example, perceived in the sense that everyone experiences it differently. For example, you can get into a car accident and you're fine, you fix your car, you can drive again, and you can move on with your life. Someone else can get into a car accident and they become traumatized, and now they don't want to drive. They don't even want to get in a car. So we people perceive trauma differently. So we want to get to the place where we, even though when a traumatic situation happened, whatever that situation, acute, complex, generational, or chronic, when there is no more threat, we need to understand that, okay, there's no more threat, so we can be able to find coping mechanism to help us through whatever the situation is. So if you had a car accident before and now there's no more accident, but you see your car and you start shaking and all of that stuff, there's no more danger there, but you're still experiencing that trauma. So in order to be able to get through those situations, number one, you need to find you a trauma therapist who can coach you and see you through, give you some strategies and stuff to see you through those situations. And then you pray to the Lord to help you through the healing process. So imagine someone who goes through trauma and always in that traumatic brain. Now they are just, for example, you become abused by someone, or abused through your childhood, or domestic violence, whatever the case may be. Now let's say you get out of that situation, but you have not gone through trauma therapy to help you unlearn or go through that process to help your brain rewire to think differently, that even though the person is not there, you can still go through life without being on the edge, your lid flip open all the time. That is no way to live. So go through some trauma therapy and learn how to deal with trauma so you can function in a better way. So now going back to like the way we think and how we view ourselves in positive way to impact our world in a positive way. Thinking positively, going back to what I talked about last week in Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think in a negative way, you want to stay into whatever traumatic state or stuff that happened to you and don't want to get help. Now you feel like, for example, if you were abused as a child, now you feel like, oh, I'm no good, nobody's gonna love me, and you get into a relationship. Now you're thinking like, oh my God, I don't feel good about myself, or this person is gonna leave me. Guess what? If that's what you're thinking about, that's what is gonna happen. So this space that I have created is a space for us to learn to become better people, so we can impact our world in a better place. So helping us to be encouraged to seek help when we need help, thinking positively to be able to be effective people. Because when you're thinking good about yourself, you feel good, we all have trauma, and we all, trauma can be perceived, it can be experienced or witnessed. You can witness something which can also traumatize you as well. So if you need to get that help, however, like I strongly believe that if you need to get that therapy, get that help, learn your coping skills. For me, for example, let's say if I'm not feeling good or I'm feeling bad about something, one thing that helped me is listening to gospel music. I listen to that, it calms me down. For other people, it might be going to take a walk, reading a book, talking to a friend or family member, whatever that coping skill is, something that keep you grounded, to calm you down so you can go back into your thinking brain. That's what you need to do. So as I said, better us, better world. Better you, better world. If you think positively, you feel good about yourself, you come into the world and you can be effective for people to be around you and want to be around you. Nobody want to be around a grumpy person all the time. You're mad at the world. You just down. No, we need to learn how to love ourselves, know where we come from, know that we are wonderfully made by the Almighty God, so that we can be out here and do what He called us to do and affect others in our environment in a better way. So like, share, comment, and come back again as we become better us so we can impact our world in a better way. Thank you for joining me and see you next time. Bye-bye. Better you, better you, better